Mm, Really, three great films. I'm bravo, 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 bravo. So, as we're just getting set up, so we're going to do some Q&A. I'll introduce Angela, a board member, who will then introduce the panel. I wouldn't be a good CEO if I didn't do one thing. Um, it takes a village to run Docs in Progress, and we can use your support in many, many ways. I know these are really tough days, but one of the best ways to support us is to sign up, come to our screenings. If you can, take our workshops. We really, I have to tell you, I'm going to go home tonight and I'm going to sleep with a big smile on my face because we had this sold out crowd. So that's the best way you can support. If there's an opportunity to do some financial support, we would certainly love that. And if you can, frankly, folks, we can use a little bit of people power here. I'd love to see people if they could help us volunteer in many, many ways. But with that, I thank you so much for coming out tonight for opening night at Community Stories. And I'm going to hand this over to our moderator for tonight, Angela Panaglia.
Thank you. Thanks, Barbara. All right, if the filmmakers could come up and you could just grab a seat. I'll take this one here. Thanks you all for sticking around. This is always my favorite part because we get to hear from, I'm sitting here so you can sit there. We're waiting for Melanie. If someone knows her number, if you could text her. I know she stepped out to the car. All right, great. Just grab again. Okay, great. Pull you a little closer. All right, there we go. All right. Okay. All right. Yeah, I got you. I'll put it on the floor. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll give Melanie a second here. All right. Just going to take a breather. You know, as Barbara said, I'm a board member, but I'm actually a filmmaker too, which is why I said I really do enjoy this portion of the programming. And it was such a joy to watch all of your films, especially in the negative climate we're in. I think, I think of, I can't retire from this, the joy of just doing something for the love of it, the love of sport. In the test, doing something for the love of your family and the ultimate sacrifice you'll do for that. And of course, in the world according to Pussy Noir, doing something, not just the love of it, because it's your purpose. And there's nothing more joyful than watching someone live their purpose. So thank you. Thank you all for sharing those stories. So I'd like to start with, I got to do that. I need bifocals, guys. With Pussy Noir, because I feel like, I have a million questions, but I want to start with you because given the current political climate and all the craziness going on, I need to know, how has this affected your work? Hold on one second. I'm sending a mic that way. Oh, wait. Is it on? Do I need GT? Maybe. Let's see. It's changing color. GT. Okay, I'm just going to do this.
Okay. All right. The current political climate is crazy, as we all know. It's an understatement of the year. So as you saw, I was a working artist at the Kennedy Center. I still consider myself an artist at the Kennedy Center. The program I was in was 3 years. It started right before COVID and went through COVID. So it was a 3-year program. And then after that, right after it ended, they told us if we wanted to, we can continue a permanent residence there for the rest of our lives. So I'm a lifelong artist at the Kennedy Center. That specifically is the Reach Center, which is the other part they built recently. And so with that, with everything that's happening, it stopped my work, but it didn't stop me from being an artist. You know what I mean? So, it's funny because, I'm very upset, but also at the same time, I was like, if you want to kick out all the black people and the gays and the women, who's going to make the art? Who's going to, even so, who's going to hold up the building? Who's going to turn on the lights? Because those are all the people that work there. So at the end of the day, they're just going to run around till they get tired, frankly. And we as artists are still going to continue making work with or without the building at the end of the day. I will say for me, I worked all my life to get there. So I definitely felt targeted as a person that literally brought drag to the Kennedy Center before anyone else did. But they didn't mention me, and it's good on them because I'm not an enemy you want to have.
Well, Oh, I see. This is for the live feed. That's why it doesn't project. Oh, hello. Hello. Okay. Sorry, I just have make sure. Oh, we got it. All right, great. Okay. What do I do? Okay. Oh my God. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Melanie, hi. Sorry we missed you at the beginning. Here's hi. And I'm sorry I didn't introduce folks, so let me introduce folks here now that everyone's here. All right. So at the very end, we have Shannon Bryant, co-producer from Can't Retire From This. Then right next to her, we have the director, Melanie Page. Then over here, we already met Pussy Noir. Welcome. And then right next to Pussy is Amy Oden, the director. And last but not least, Claudia Myers, the co-director of the test. So, yay. All right, so Melanie, I'm going to kick it to you here. You have a strong personal connection. You played basketball. We see you in the film. Why was it so important for you to tell this story and to tell it now?
Shannon loves this question. I mean, to tell it now, it's very important. I mean, everybody in here, I'm sure, has not been living under a rock and seen the progress of women's basketball in the past couple years. Am I right? Yeah. So it's hard for me, and it's been tough because we started this journey in 2020, back when women's basketball, was getting all the flack and whatnot. People don't watch women's basketball. But now all of a sudden, throughout our process, we start getting traction, and women's basketball has all these eyes and attention. But fortunately, we were already in motion to start to tell this story. And I think there's no better time than the present, to be able to tell it and to be on platforms and in audiences like you all here today to see the history, so that the history of women's basketball doesn't get erased. We see certain names in the media, but we don't see where the game started. We don't see the foundation. We don't see all the work that has gone in to get to where women's basketball is today. So, yeah, that's where we're at.
Perfect. Thank you. Claudia, all right. So I think everyone wants to know, is Eric's family here in the country yet? At least I really wanted to know.
Almost everyone.
Okay.
So his wife and 3 of his 4 children are here now. His oldest, his son is looking at college, which is really exciting. And his oldest daughter is still in Ghana. But everyone else is here, and his wife now also works at Goodwin Living. Yes, yes. So it's pretty wonderful, and they've come to many screenings, so I've gotten a chance to meet his family, and yeah.
Well, speaking of the Goodwin House, I feel like it's very prominent as a character, like the building, the location. In fact, the first couple scenes of the movie, you almost don't even know, what should I focus on? He's there, but there's other people. And I just really enjoyed that, right? It slowly revealed itself that this place is really important. So I was just curious if you could expand on how, you guys made that decision to build it into a character of sorts.
Well, in a way, it's now called Goodwin Living, but it's Goodwin. They rebranded after we edited. So what can you do? But it actually started with an article about them. So I actually read an article in the Washington Post about how 90 staff members of this organization had become citizens through the efforts of the residents in this retirement community, and I thought it was such a moving and beautiful story. And then it turns out that Laura Waters Hinson, who's sorry she can't be here, she's in Ecuador working on another documentary. She had also read the same article, and it was just this beautiful program. So in a way, the place and the program were the thing that drew us, and then we found Eric and we found Jill and Carl, and we built the story around them. But the place is critical because it was a grassroots effort by the residents, and it just seemed like such a beautiful, hopeful, inspiring example of how we can change each other's lives for the better. This was towards the end of COVID, and I just felt like I was just drawn to this story, kind of like a magnet. I need something hopeful and genuinely heartwarming, and it was truly all those things.
It really was. Made me so happy. I even teared up, the second time. I haven't seen the movie 3 times at this point. So, thank you for that. All right, Amy. I could see why you chose Pussy Noir as yours. So I don't have to ask you what were you thinking? Like I see it. Like I love it. And we hear all this about your life and why you do things, and then we suddenly stop hearing everything or anything when it comes to the fashion show. And like that scene to me was like really touching in a way that I didn't expect it to be. Like the art spoke for itself, and the song that you have playing underneath was like a perfect compliment to it. And there's a quote at the very beginning that you say that fashion is like your escapism, and like at that moment it felt like that. And so I was just curious. I was very impressed with that scene. Like, how did you arrive at that? Because when you're making a film, for the non-filmmakers, you don't just get there, right? Like it takes a lot of editing and a lot of thinking through. So like your process to get to that.
Oh yeah, that's a very interesting question. I think so there's two beats in the film, right, where you see some of the work. Like there's the trunk show, and then there's obviously the longer piece at the end. And I will say also that like all of the music that's in the film is music that was just like playing in her apartment. Times where I was like, I guess this is what we're paying for to do the rights for these tracks, which by the way, if you can avoid that. But that part, I think, look, for me, like a lot of the work that I wind up doing is around like queerness and gender and sexuality in the arts. And I think that a big driving force for me behind a lot of the work is just I think I wrote recently in like a grant proposal, like portray ourselves as richly gorgeous. And I just feel like once I started looking at the footage back, and especially some of the slow motion shots, and like just kind of doing like a quick fat cut of like what I thought I was going to hone in on, I was like, this is just like, I just want it to sit. Like I want people to really sit with it. Oh, that's done.
Here we go. We're still sitting with it.
We're still sitting with it. I just want people to sit with it and like take it in and just, if nothing else, just like really recognize like the beauty of like not only of course the clothes, but like the individuals who are walking, right? Who are like all part of like our collective queer community in this town. So that was important to me.
Thank you. All right, all the way at the end here, Shannon. All right, here we go. So I found out from a little backstory that you are very involved in, I don't want to call it the industry, like that, but but I want to ask you about like Access, because you guys had so many voices, right? Like you're telling this collective story, which I really love. But I also feel like it really kind of like Coach Rich, Diane Richardson, the coach that's wearing the Towson shirt, seems like such a key character. Like everyone coalesces around her. And we talked briefly with Melanie about like female mentorship is so important, right? Like if you could talk about, because I feel like the Access and also the idea of female mentorship and why, it's so important. Just bring this to you.
Well, fun fact about Coach Rich, I was one of those players that she mentioned that was in her gym that did not play for Riverdale. I played against them. It was a great rivalry, though. Loved it. When it comes to, I guess, the Access in the WNBA space, even when we were selecting athletes to interview, especially like the current or former WNBA players, they were so open. I don't think you see that a lot across the professional sports world, but they were so willing to reach back out to us and talk about their experience. And even they talk about the importance of, having someone who looks like you encourage you. And with the kind of the delayed, I guess, flowers that they're getting now, they deserved it at the beginning. But even when you see like Penny Toller, for me, was one of my favorite interviews, as Melanie knows, and I met her as like 10, 11, something like that. But to come back full circle and be able to interview her and talk about, her journey and how she went from being a player to an executive in sports. And that's something that's one of my goals and dreams. And then working as an agent now, being able to get uplifted by her after our interview. Like, it's just an example of the industry. It's not really, I would say there's the industry and then there's the women's basketball circle. There's like the women's basketball community, and we support each other at every level, whether you're a coach, player, working in media, working in marketing, or, a pro athlete out there looking for support, because the fight is all of ours. Yeah. I love that.
Thank you. You could absolutely feel that, and sense that in the film. So I think that message really came through. All right, I have one more question, then we're going to open up the questions to you guys. So start thinking about them. All right. I need to, you guys should know this. I actually took a class from Claudia Myers at American University like 12 years ago. So I'm kind of excited I'm asking you this question. No, I'm just kidding. I was really impressed with just like the light touch to all the story beats. Like we find out he hasn't seen his family. Eric hasn't seen his family for 8 years. A bad network connection, and then we're like out of the scene, right? Like he goes to work, and then he's gonna we go back to his history, and we just learn that he lost all his money in Ghana, which is why he came to the U.S. And then we leave that, and it just keeps moving us along like so like effortlessly. So that's number one. I really enjoyed that about it. But I guess the other half of that is, it almost feels like snapshots. And I actually didn't catch this until the third time that I saw the film now, that time is a theme, a motif, right? We hear the ticking of the time, and Jill says it. I feel like time just marches on when she's like, I didn't think I'd end up in a place like this, but here I am. And the way the scenes feel, they feel like time, right? Like this is like snapshot in and out. And I just, that's the fun thing about rewatching films. Like when we reread poetry or books, like you get to get all this new meaning. And so I'm like, yay, I got this new meaning. But I want to know how you arrived at that, because I know that did not come immediately.
Oh, right. Yeah, actually, time was very much a theme. I mean, the beauty of editing, of course, is that you can just like it's another form of writing of a story, right? So you're kind of rewriting and refining and layering, and we kind of intentionally had images of time when we were shooting. That was like on our list. So like clocks, and because 8 years, and this feeling of also he's running out of time before the test, and so there's a lot of time pressure was something we talked about a lot. There was sort of this long period of waiting, and then this sort of inevitable drive towards the test. So we definitely have a lot of clock footage. So that was built in. I think the other big central image for us was family. So you mentioned the snapshots, but sort of after reading the article, what was so touching to me wasn't just that, these residents had done this really beautiful thing by helping these staff members who care for them. It's that they also gained a sense of purpose and family, so that it was really a mutual relationship. And so what we were after was, can we show how they have become family? If, in fact, that is true. And we thought that was going in that direction. And so this idea of this empty table where you see Jill, and then at the end, them all kind of gathering together as this sort of eclectic found family. That was very intentional. So we were hoping that we would get there, but we also were looking for that the whole time. And so we edited it really with an eye towards, like in terms of the chronology, she wasn't first at the table on her own, but when we edited it, we were very consciously trying to build this sense of family at the kitchen table.
And it worked. Yeah, wonderful. All right, questions from you all. Just raise your hand. I'll pass the mic. And any question. It doesn't have to be like a filmy question. It could just be like, Pussy, what are you wearing tonight? Is this an outfit by you? Like, that's what I want to know. Anybody? I'm going to put it down on the spot. No, I'm just kidding. All right, well, then I got many more. Oh, there we go. Here we go. Okay, I'll repeat it. It's really for the live stream. Go ahead. Yeah.
So I just want to say, I host a podcast that's all about film, independent film. And one of the things that we talk about all the time is the marketing side, the business side of film. So I was just curious for each of you, what's your plan for getting the film out to greater audiences beyond the folks in this room and beyond just screenings? Do you have any other marketing plans for getting the film out there?
Okay, I'm just going to say the question for the live stream. Do you have any marketing plans for your films? And I will start with Claudia, since you're right here. Yeah.
Hello. Is this working again?
It's working.
Oh, okay. Hello again. So our film has been on the festival circuit for a long time, but that wasn't your question. So we've done that largely, and it's kind of wonderful to screen it again and sort of the place where it all began. We actually have an agreement. I think I can say it. So we're going to be doing a public broadcast, an agreement with WETA. So we're really happy that we're going to be screening it on public television. And we also have a big impact campaign going. So we've been screening it at libraries, we've been screening it at schools, we've been screening it. Like, our goal is to screen it in all 50 states and to do a bipartisan screening in Congress to kind of reframe, the debate about immigration and immigrants and what they bring to our country, and sort of, because there's a whole other side to the story. Like, I feel like there's a focus on, a very negative portrayal, and I think Eric is, the bulk of what so many people experience. And I mean, I'm the daughter of first-generation Americans, and so's my husband. So anyway, it's a personal subject, and I think short films can really have. I just want to say something kind of in support of short films of all types. They can have so much of a life. Maybe not a lot of money in short films, but they can have reach because they can be shown and there can be a discussion. They can be shown at a conference. We've had a lot of conference screenings. We've had the fact that libraries are going to screen it. So I just want to, for the filmmakers out there, shorts, I feel like can get really far and can serve so many purposes. They can go on websites. So I think in terms of finding an audience, if you look beyond like financial possibilities, I think there are tons of ways of getting your film seen, and it's pretty exciting.
Thank you. Amy.
So we're in sort of a similar place, having screened earlier in the festival circuit with your work, and so we've also been in the festival circuit for a little while, and are also in, not signed, sealed, delivered, but in some PBS related negotiations, and planning some Pride related stuff for June. Probably in Baltimore, but TBD. I don't want to blow up our, correspondences. But now, with our project, it's like the landscape has changed kind of profoundly, right, in the last literal month. And I was thinking about it on the way over here tonight, and it's like, obviously, like, the film hones in on and speaks to Pussy's experience at the Kennedy Center specifically as like a groundbreaking fellow in that program, but then also it's like the film is a record of some of what was accomplished there in general, right? So, I don't know. I mean, I think there's some interesting new potential there to try to get more eyes on it.
Thank you. And we'll pass it to Melanie. Yeah.
You
Or maybe
don't wanna
Shannon.
answer this. We're over here debating who's going to take the question. We did. Side quest. This is actually going to be our last public screening here for this episode. This is our first episode of Can't Retire from this. So taking all the data, the feedback, and information from the past
I think we keep turning it off here.
past 5 film festival, that's why you're here. Thank you so much. We just won the Pan-African Film Festival a couple weeks ago. Thank you so much. Thank you. And so I think with the film's resume definitely helps us as we are now, as officially as of today, with this being our last screening, searching for funding opportunities to help us continue and finish the rest of this project. We have 58 interviews shot. Thank you, Shannon. You're welcome. Which is essentially 3 full days of talking heads, just straight, just talking about basketball and their love for it. So we have a wealth of information that we're just sitting on, and now there's no better time than ever than right now to continue and finish out what we started. So in terms of marketing, we're kind of marketing more specific towards people and trying to really raise those funds. And yeah, we'll see what the future lies ahead about distribution, et cetera.
I don't know. Oh, I got it to work. Thank you. All right, I see. Okay, I'm going to hand the mic. Sandra, you mind passing it back? I know. That way I just don't have to repeat it. There you go.
So should I stand up?
Yeah, if you mind, if you're feeling
You got the camera on me? Oh my God.
No, don't worry.
How you doing? Good. Okay, cool. So in the documentary, there's somewhat of an unsung hero in your film. I think her name goes by Adrienne Dunning. If you ever, um, understood the game of basketball in the DMV. It started with county basketball. So seeing your mom, who's the unsung hero in this story, how she changed several lives, how does that impact you today? Do you want to debate? My heart is beating actually. So, are you going to answer? Cool.
Okay. We will hold the mic delicately this way, as everybody sees. Yes, Adrienne Dunning, who is my mother, for the handful of people that don't know that in this room. And we, with my mom and seeing how she raised people like you and like Kaylee. But just the I call this a community story as we're telling, and I think throughout the 58 interviews and even the people that we didn't get a chance to capture their stories of, there's so many people that have gone through the ranks of county, intramurals, high school, college basketball that are pouring back into the next generation of girls basketball here in this area. And me, I live in Los Angeles. I don't see it this way at all out there, which is unfortunate. But I can only tell this story because I've seen it, I've lived it. I've seen people like you become educators because of people like my mom, Coach Rich, except you actually got to play for every single coach that is featured in this documentary. So you have no choice.
Yes.
People like you have no
The one in
choice.
the blue hat.
Yeah, she was the one in blue hat, shadows over her face. We got to fix that. But it's people like you that this documentary, like you're able to continue this story and the legacies of what has been laid out for you, and you already are, and how passionate you are about kids. It comes from the women that we were raised by. And I don't think that any other environment gets that, especially in this closely knit, accessible area of a community. And that's why this story is so rich and so impactful, because we get to live it. And I mean, even now, I'm now coaching high school girls basketball out in LA. Like, it's, I can't retire from this. I don't know, I'm trying. Oh, my mom's here. Where can she stand up?
Combing the hair and helping her shoot.
I actually just wanted to comment really quickly on your film. So I grew up in this area, as we heard on my film, but I grew up in this area, specifically in Bowie, Maryland. So I'm a child of the 90s. So I grew up with this community of sports. I'm personally not a sports person, but like I did grow up in that community of sports. And so and the entire time I was watching your documentary, I kept saying, you guys capture the community that does not exist anywhere in the world. That's why you didn't see it. That's why you don't see it in LA. DC and the DMV area is a Black Mecca. It is a place, being Black here is like nowhere else in the world. It truly is. And the kids and the parents and the families, we are not push, but we are cultured and nurtured to accomplish and be accomplished. And so you really did capture that. I really wanted to say that out loud to everyone.
Thank you. Yes. No, that really means a lot.
I agree. All right, another question.
I was just wondering, what are you doing now since the Kennedy Center is basically kicked y'all out? Do you still have a place where you can do your art and cultivate your work?
I guess this is the time to shamelessly plug, which I always forget. So yeah, like I said before, as an artist, like I own my IPO, so no one's gonna take that from me. And I've learned also as well with this whole world of like, or our new economy and like government system of like autocracy and money, money, money. And if they only understand money terms, I'm using them. My work as an artist and as all artists, it's our IPO. So no one's taking that. I own that. It's worth $1 billion. So I can do it anywhere and everywhere I want to. So even though the Kennedy Center is not allowing us to do work there, I have a website, mxnoir.com, in which I put my work on there as well. I've also dedicated my brand from not only just doing drag and fashion to telling the stories of Black history, of global Black history. And so I'm working on that. I'm working on a book series right now that centers Black women and Black history. The character is a Black explorer in the early 1900s. So I'm also wrapping in the history of this actual area of DC, of Black achievement and wealthy Black people. As my friend said, she was like, are all the people in your stories wealthy? I was like, yes, all Black people are rich in all of my stories because we don't get to have that. And so I'm putting it out there, you know what I mean? And so the work is continuing. We're working on the project right now that if you want to talk about it, you can, but we don't got to talk about it yet. But we're working on the project right now. So I am consistently always doing something. And I have a lot coming up for Pride. I will be doing a huge party on June 6th. And then I am hosting and showing clothes. I'm doing a capsule collection for World Pride. In celebration of World Pride, but not for them. Again, it's my money, so I get to keep it. But I'm showing a capsule collection dedication to World Pride, and so I'm doing a salon-style fashion show and discussion during World Pride. So always, always, always working. Plus, I need to eat, so I gotta make money. And then also, the last thing is, because I have too much going on. I have the longest running drag show in DC. It's a one-woman drag show I've been doing for going on 9 years soon, called Sissy That Presents. It's every third Wednesday of the month. So this Wednesday coming up, it's at Trade in DC, which is on 14th Street. It's free to come in, hang out. Most of my shows are always free. I try to really leave them open so people can come. But this show is free. It's really fun. This theme this month is called All Women because March. So everyone knows this because this idiot signed an executive order making March Women's History Month. March has been Women's History Month since 1987 by Congress. Just so we know. And February and March are my favorite months because I am Black and Black women have raised me and nurtured all of this that you see. So I always love to celebrate women during March. So the show is about women. I'm especially highlighting trans women because they must be in the story of the women's history story. They have been before. Let's continue making that happen. So that is happening. I think that is everything. Yes.
Thank you. We have time for one more question. All right, I'm gonna send the mic. But you gotta talk into the mic. All right, going all the way to the back.
Thank you. So I forgot to mention, thank you for that, for everything. I got to market my own stuff. The Make It podcast. So if you check it out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, it's the Make It podcast. We hear a lot about AI in film, and a lot of times it's a negative connotation. So you turn on the TV, you turn on the news, and like, oh my gosh, they use AI, and they shouldn't do that, and it's taken away from filmmakers. I am a huge proponent for AI, but this is why. You talked about, 3 full days of interview content? That's 3 full days of transcription. That's 3 full days of stuff that you can then turn into a children's book. Because you took that information, you got AI to transcribe it, and then you can use AI to then pull out salient points, things that are important to you. All the content that you create, you can then leverage AI to simply create new opportunities to create more content. So I think that there's often a bad sentiment regarding AI, but I think there's huge opportunities for you folks to use it. I'm just curious, what is your sentiment? What is your feeling about AI?
All right, here we go.
I guess I'm just going to try to make this simple. I just think generally when you use technology to replace human beings, it's a bad thing. And if you're going to use technology to create art, it has potential to be a good thing. I think that's just like a very simple version of my view. So like, for instance, it's cool to use AI to transcribe some interviews or to give you some highlights or something like that, but like also still hire and pay an editor. And like on the flip side of the coin, like we recently screened with, or well, no, that's not true. I didn't screen. I attended a screening that had like what I would call like it was more of like a gallery installation, like art piece. And the person who had cut it had made some like really interesting decisions with like using AI to like blur and alter footage and like rework like the position of somebody's body in space. So like I do think that there's like interesting stuff going on with like graphics and AI, and like if you can just not find ways to put people out of work, that's maybe the ideal.
Really quickly, I've actually been using AI to write my book. And the funny thing is, I told my friend that. They're like, oh my God, are you plagiarizing? I was like, well, no. But what I've been using it for is one, for organizing, because it's like 500 pages of story I'm writing. So one I've been using for organizing. And the other thing, weirdly enough, I used it to break myself out of a writer's block that I had for 2 months. And I was stuck in one chapter. And I was like, just write this idea out. And I read it through, and what it did, it allowed me and reminded me of using different language. I didn't use that sentence or that prose, but it helped me break me out of the same kind of pattern of thinking. The other thing I will say about AI is that I think people have to remember is that right now with the technology of AI, it does not create new ideas. It pulls information from all over the internet. So nothing can replace the human brain right now, as we know it. I don't think anything ever will, but nothing can replace the human brain and human creativity. So there are, and I completely agree with you, there are so many ways as an artist to use AI as a tool. We just need to remember to use it as a tool, and that we, again, have the vision. Like, this is why we are artists. This is why we have this role in society. So we have the vision, not the machine. And we tell the machine what to do.
Yeah.
And to piggyback off of that, like Brittany, you're covering the camera lens.
You know, I'm old. I have no idea even what you're using.
I just happen to have the mic in my hand. Sorry, I'm directing here while I'm up here. This is just how my brain works. I have to.
AI wouldn't do this.
AI wouldn't do that. No, but to piggyback off of that, and you mentioned children's book and all those things. Yes and no. So children's books, all that stuff, there's several books that are going to expand off of Can't Retire from this. I have so many different avenues I'm about to tap into in this space because there's too many stories that need to be told with it. But AI would not be able to replicate this story at all. This story is completely heart. It's all heart. And even when I'm doing the interviews, I'm sitting across from Nikki Teasley for one of the interviews, and she was like my second favorite basketball player. The entire drive out to Frederick, Maryland, I am giddy. I'm turning into a 10-year-old girl. I am excited. And I am excited to read through her interview for those moments that really lit me up so that I can tell it from a child's point of view in a children's book. I would not be able to get that if I told AI, look for a soundbite or a quote that says this, because it's just not going to be as natural. It's not going to come from the heart. It's not going to come from the childhood sentiment and point of view. And that's what is missing from authentic stories. And I don't want to lose that. I don't want to I don't want AI to take my heart and use it for other things across the board. That would be doing a disservice to people that look like me. I've also been told to to shout out the Can't Retire from This podcast, where we will be continuing to tell stories about women's basketball.
This is my job. Remind her to promote herself.
Can I say one more thing? One more thing, because I should have mentioned it when I was talking about Dominique being an educator now. And when I look back at this footage, and I did one crazy thing last week, and I invited my 4th grade teacher to this screening, and she's here in this room, and she would come to our games at Laurel Boys and Girls Club. And I'm looking back at the footage, and I'm like, she came all that way to watch this? That is insanity. But I have those type of stories and those people in my lives that help me to pour back into the next generation, because it hasn't just been Black women, it's been the entire community in this area that just comes together and supports each other no matter what race, creed, demographic, et cetera, et cetera. And that is something that is so unique and something that needs to continue to be celebrated from this area and nourished even more, especially in 2025.
And I think we got the AI answer, but I do want to let you finish up with maybe what you guys are doing next or where the film is going. Any other last things you'd like to say, Claudia?
Sure. So, as I said, we're continuing with our impact campaign. So, if anyone is interested in hosting a screening of the film, we have a really awesome website built by the team, Little Lion Impact, which is the testdocumentary.com. I'm actually more of a fiction filmmaker. So I have worked in documentary, hadn't done it in a while. And so I'm kind of returning to fiction projects, working on some TV pitches and a feature that I'm revising now and hope to direct next year.
So I guess this is the time where I talk about the project that we're working on now.
And if you want to.
No, I mean, I will.
It's really good.
It is. It is. It's based on a true story. We're starting development or in development on a feature that is a hybrid style piece that speaks to themes about community, art, propaganda, and safety. Kind of overlaying the current moment that we are in with what I feel like we've been referring to as like a queer futurist reimagining of my grandparents' story during World War II. I found out during the pandemic that they actually ran an anti-Nazi cabaret, which explains a lot of things about the way that my life has unfolded. So the film is called Beyond Cabaret. And yeah, like I said, we're in development, and I'm really looking forward to shooting some like deep, beautiful fantasy scenes about backstage at the cabaret and the really wild time during the Nazi regime.
I'm designing it, that's why.
Yeah, and she's art directing, which is like sick, and so of course it's gonna be beautiful. Duh.
And I'm sorry, just
Oh yeah, should I pass it down?
Melly, I know you said the podcast, Shannon. Anything else you guys want to plug or say?
Thank you, Shannon. The Can't Retire from This podcast. It's called Sideline Stories. So we're collecting sideline stories of women's basketball. And then I also do branded content. So what pays the bills a little bit is, besides coaching, is I do, what? Go ahead. Why do you keep talking? I do branded content for Microsoft and their WNBA partnerships and trying to expand in the avenues of doing more women's basketball content across the branded space because people's attention spans work a lot better in short bits at times. And I think there's a lot more narratives that we can tell in super short bites about women and sports in general and just the motivations behind that. Then we're also working on a book about the process of creating Can't Retire from This, which I'm very excited to get working on because, it's, like I said, it's been a community effort. And then obviously like children's books and anything and merchandise. I'm designing some more merch. And yeah, can'tretireproject.com is how you can find me, and Can't Retire Doc on Instagram and Threads. I don't know. Yeah, that's how you find us.
I'm sorry, I was about to laugh at you. Thank you. I'll be brief. Coming up, honestly, continue to do what I've been doing. I'm just being an advocate for women's basketball, whether that's through my platform, Swag Sports, or as an ally to Can't Retire Doc, so you can keep up with, all things women's basketball, girls basketball, and sports in general. I also am in the flag football community now, so if you want to keep in touch, you can follow me at Shannon Nichelle on Instagram, and you can follow my sports management company at Swag Sports. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, unfortunately, we are out of time, though you could stick around and linger and ask a few questions. But before we send you off, so we're going to be here all weekend. Well, we'll be here all day tomorrow. And then on Sunday, we'll be screening at the Tacoma Park Community Center a great documentary called Happy Campers. And tomorrow night, if you have nothing to do, I definitely encourage you to come because there's a great film about a Jewish folk festival, but there will be a live performance too. All right. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for sharing your work. Thank you all for coming. And one last word, Barbara, or we're good. All right. Have a great night. Thank you, everyone. Yes, come back tomorrow.